Hi, I'm Kaylin, and I believe that the riches of life come about when you live by the law of self, and that means you express yourself. So today we're going to talk about what you believe and what you should do with that belief, because a belief buried in the backyard, well, my friends here, they'll tell you that that's no good. So we're going to look at an example of a celebrity presidential candidate and talk about the importance of expressing yourself. So before we get started, I'll introduce myself. I'm Kaylin, and then I've got my buddies here, Oberon, and this buddy of his doesn't have a name. I usually put tags on them when they have a name. But we've got some great wisdom here to share with you today. To kickstart us, Oberon wanted me to mention a hot button that I told him we shouldn't talk about yet, because I'm like, well, if people don't like this person, they might just turn the video off and walk away and never gain the benefit of understanding the absolute importance of taking that belief and doing something with it. But Oberon insisted, and of course, Oberon's cousin, owl friend here, totally agreed. And so here goes. Oberon wants me to kickstart by telling you that Donald Trump is an extremely fabulous example of taking what you believe and doing something with it. He is a man who really lives by the law of self and shows us not only how, but sort of sets the standard. So let's back up a little. I want to talk to you just a little bit, if I can get a little comfortable here, about the importance of taking what you believe and doing something with it. See, one of the problems is that so often in life, just like a politician who's wishy-washy, people in business or in their relationship or anything in life, they don't commit to who it is that they are. They might tell you what they're really mad about, but that's not really who they are, right? I mean, are you anger? Or maybe you have something that you believe in rather deeply. Rescuing puppies. And I say that because I really think animal rescues are great, and, it's something I believe in. So I'm not mocking it. It's really where I come from. Whatever it is you believe, if that's all that you talk about, well, that's not really who you are necessarily, unless you're really doing something with it, right? In other words, it's really important to take what you believe and express it and do something with it. Look a little more deeply than something like helping animals, for me. Look a little more deeply and look to see who it is that you are. When you find who you are and you find what you are really all about, you tend to be able to do something that everyone has to be able to do, and that is sell yourself. See, when it comes to business, or even in your own personal life, if you're dating, if you're after a business deal, if you're just even making a new friend, you always have to be able to sell yourself. You always have to speak highly of yourself. For example, my buddy here says that he is all about wisdom and clarity. And particularly, he's just all about crazy fun, too. When you talk about who you are and you can really express what you believe, everything starts to change. One of the things that's real, in a way more apparent in business, is that there's something that you're passionate about, at least that tends to be true for most entrepreneurs, and that you're trying to help people with. For example, today I met a nutritionist. So she's passionate about it and she's really trying to help people, so she brings that forward. And when it comes to that, you don't want to say that you're just a nutritionist, you're a nutritionist, you're a great nutritionist. You really want to bring forward a little more and say what it is that you believe about nutrition. Maybe you believe that food nourishes not just your body, but your soul. I don't know. Or maybe you believe that gluten's really rather damaging and that no one should have gluten. To some extent, what you believe isn't as important as your ability to stand tall in your belief, just like my buddies here, and speak about it, speak out loud, and bring it forward. Let it lead your life. Let it be who you are, because it's the core of who you are, and you should fully be led by the core of who you are. Now, like I said, that's a little more obvious in business. Entrepreneurs, hopefully, and tend to do what they're passionate about. But what happens when it comes to romance? Same thing, or even a friend, or even my daughter at school. You have to really come from what you believe. I believe, for example, that she should have a great education. So I go about doing everything I can to support that. That seems obvious. It may seem like it's not that big of a deal. But for example, last year, they switched her teacher halfway through the year. So I had to go and express myself. I really went and I really spoke my mind in the most mature and professional and put together way I could. And it was not easy because the school was doing something different. But it's not really the fact that you're willing to make a fuss. It's not about the fuss. It's about expressing what's important to you, being led by the core of who you are. Not only does that help you make authentic, but I hope you can get a sense that the core of who you are will always take you in the right directions. It'll help you really probably secure the right business partners. It'll help you secure the right life partner when you speak about relationship in the way you believe. It'll help you with your daughter's school or whatever it is that your situation is calling for. The truth is, all of life has this at its core. If you know much about a lot of different schools of spirituality, they say that the core essence of all of life is that we're here to know ourselves. That that's what life is all about. And in a lot of the spiritual schools, that's a lot of what they're teaching you. Knowing yourself, being honest with yourself, being authentic with yourself, and bringing that forward in your life. When you know who you are and what you believe, and you really bring it out and forward like Donald Trump does, well, you can really rock and roll your life. You can really make an impression with yourself and with the people around you. Of course, yourself is more important. The people around you would be secondary. So now Oberon wants me to go back to Donald Trump because Oberon thinks Donald Trump is just the bomb, if you will. And what Oberon wants you to know and recognize is that Donald Trump has said some things that can really be misinterpreted or interpreted, but they're very strong. They're very strong statements and beliefs that he comes forward with. But then he explains the idea and the conviction behind it. For example, he believes immigration should really, it sounds like, be monitored. It's not that we don't want immigrants, it's that we want the right ones, or we just don't want people coming in. We need to monitor that. That makes sense. And the thing is, because he speaks his mind, he's leading the polls, at least at this point. And because of that, people really appreciate that. They appreciate a leader who comes out and leads. Not one who comes out and says, well, it depends. Here's the politically correct thing to say, and here's the evasive thing to say. When we do that in life, and so many of us do, it's like we become sort of like a ghost or a shadow. We don't say anything that impresses upon us or anyone else. We don't say anything that really brings out who we are and helps us be all that we are. Instead, we're almost receding, retracting, because instead of speaking our mind, we're taking that to the back. We're hiding our mind, and we're just saying things that we think will be accepted. And it's possible they'll be accepted, but it doesn't mean that they'll be respected or that we will be able to affect our lives the way we want. And to my buddies here, it's all about living the richness of life. When you live in the flow, you tap into life's riches. Whether those riches are financial, whether they're love, whether they're growing your business or anything else. So tap into your riches by looking at what you really believe. Not something like puppies should be rescued, but something a little deeper. Not what you're angry about, because unless you are anger, that's kind of going to take you off track. Look at who you are and what's important to you, really important to you. Not something that's temporal, like you might be angry for a little while, or an issue might get your goat for a little while, but the things that sustain you, the things that you're all about, that feed your soul. Those are the things that you really want to bring out and bring forward. Those are the things you want to express and have them lead your life, because then you're going to live a life full of riches.